Brandon Nixon of Nixon Reptiles stepping up to the plate to discuss why it's best to say no to politics and yes to better business decisions. Let's go.
And, there might be people out there that try and play on heartstrings for like saving money. Like, okay, like boo-hoo, it's like, a couple of bucks, but it's like, it's not just a couple of bucks. Like there's several, like I've been shipping since they opened up the MorphMarket shipping, and every single time, like it's a drastic savings. And that dollar value, like one, it saves me. But whenever I'm, say, putting up stuff for auction, which that's the way a lot of stuff is moving these days, because something's only worth what someone's willing to pay. But it's like by putting that stuff on auction, like now my shipping prices are like $50 versus like 85 to like 100. And it's like, don't get me wrong, sometimes it might go a little bit over that, but on average, it's still within around like the $50 range. And that's getting from here all the way to California. And over time, I mean, you're talking about shipping, 10 packages and you're saving 10, 20, like $20 at a time. Like that adds up extremely quick. And there's plenty of people that are shipping way more animals than I ship throughout the year for sure. So their savings is going to be exponential. I mean, you're talking about someone like Bob Vu, who you had on recently. Yeah, the number of animals that he's shipping per year, that's got to equate to literally like tens of thousands of dollars. Well, probably.
No,
not a mathematician.
No. I mean, neither am I, right? I got to tell you, before taking on this role with MorphMarket, like I think of a shipping company as a third-party service. I don't want to say they don't do nothing, but holy crap, FedEx is doing 90%, if not more, of what we're trying to get done here. And I do love that they all have great customer service. I don't think any shipping company in the reptile industry has bad customer service. I think they all do the service, but it's not anything that no one else can do. And so MorphMarket's stepping up to the plate, okay? And let's think of a perfect world, right? There's so much you could do on MorphMarket, but imagine selling or buying on MorphMarket where the label, everything is intact into one website, right? First and foremost, simplicity is everything right now. If we could save time before the
one
money,
cohesive unit. Yeah.
Thank you, right? But then now we talk about the money part, which all we could just talk about is the money part, and it's enough because you're right. People who want to tug on strings because you want to save a couple bucks, hey, newsflash, it's not a couple bucks. It's a lot of money. And it keeps stacking. If you keep looking at the savings over time, over a week, you got people who ship out every week. Obviously not right now, Brandon, because of the weather. But when things are up and cracking, you got people like Mark Bailey Reptiles, Bob Vu, Miguel Garcia, Justin, who are shipping out every week. And every single one of those boxes, $50 savings, $40 savings, $30 here. Even if it was $20 here, where does somebody need to look at themselves in the mirror, Brandon, and say, okay, I need to ignore these reptile politics that are on my shoulder telling me to use them and make smarter business decisions?
I don't know. I mean, just in light of like your first comment, I mean, back when I like originally, back in my day, walking, uphill both ways to school or whatever, I was shipping animals like everyone else was doing through UPS and through FedEx, just through UPS and through FedEx. In just a regular box that said perishable with some mysterious air holes in it, and that was before, even like Ship Your Reptiles came out and started shipping them legally, right? Or, through the proper channels, because you could do it, but you had to get like approved and there was a whole thing. And at the time, I don't think anybody was doing that. You just hoped for the best. And guess what? Nothing happened then either, but so like you said, like, if you have a problem with your package, you can call, but now you have a provider or service that can deal with that headache for you, but they're all going to do the same thing. So at the end of the day, like it does come down to you making wise business choices. And here's the thing. So many people will try and nickel and dime over every single thing else. But then for some reason, when it comes to like your shipping, all of a sudden it turns into like this whole thing. And that I really just don't understand. Because, like we talked about, I mean, it adds up over time. And I will say too, like, aside from that, like the cohesiveness of, if someone buys something from me, I can now go to that little plus sign down on the bottom and select like request shipping information or request shipping or whatever. And they fill that out with their information. It comes to me and I have a little tab that just says book label. So then I just book that label. I literally just go in there, put my box size and hit like submit. Like, it is no work whatsoever. And then I have that label there without going anywhere else or doing anything else. And that, I think, I mean, it just saves time. It just makes things so much easier. And then now I think too, which I haven't, obviously because of the, weather and everything else. I think they recently added like some little like ticker marks that just automatically update from FedEx into the shipping area. So that way you can see like where things are at as far as like label created, like in like, at facility or at hub or, ready for pickup or whatever. Like, it just translates those into a nice little color coded thing. So you can more easily, I guess, like follow your shipping process.
Yeah, let's talk about what also Darian's trying to do with the shipping side of MorphMarket. He's putting in a lot of research and like analytics as far as how to stop these DOAs. Okay, because obviously, who wants to deal with the dead on arrival, right? But if MorphMarket could have the least amount of DOAs in the entire industry, that's a goal for them. That's an important thing for Darian.
I'm going to say what's funny before I lose my train of thought is that the main factor for those DOAs, like from what he's been saying, and I can believe it, is for one, people trying to save money.
Yeah. Right.
People are trying to save money because they're shipping in a smaller box. Oh,
dude, there's mine. In there. Yeah.
They're trying to ship in the small box
dude,
that is not regulated for the heat. You're not supposed to use a box any smaller than a 12x9 with a heat pack. And you have people that are trying to ship these little 7x7 cubes with a heat pack. They're cooking the animal. You'd be far better off not shipping with a heat pack. Don't use my words for this, but you'd be far better off not shipping with a heat pack and getting the animal there, because they can survive cool stuff way better than they can survive being overheated. Yeah. And that's the problem. I think a lot of the people are trying to save a couple bucks, going down in box size, and then they end up cooking the animal when they could ship everything in a 12x9 for a very low and reasonable price. Even like these small, like little corn snakes and whatever else, it's like, don't get me wrong, during winter or during like summer and whatever, ship them in whatever box you seem fit. But I just think that 12x9 size is such like, it's such a reasonable box size. And especially with something so light as some of these babies are, you don't want them in this tiny little cube that can literally just get blown by the wind. So I don't know. I think that's a big factor though, is the box size with the DOAs.
And for me, I've shipped out plenty of the 7x7 boxes, and not had an issue because I've never put a heat pack inside. Yeah. Mind you, I'm not stuffing it in there. I'm not using my elbow and like making sure it fits in there. But the heat packs are so overused, and it's just more of a like, oh, it's a reptile, cold-blooded, they need it. But you don't understand that. I mean, there's a chance this box could get left on the side of the road and it's in the cold. Okay, I get it. But no, these people, for the most part, have an area for these live animals. They are in a controlled temperature room. And I found all this out directly from FedEx employees, not other shipping companies. I found out directly what their protocols are. And so,
Darian, and that's for a live animal from anywhere. It doesn't matter. Yeah, if it's a live animal shipment marked with live animal, it goes in the same spot. It goes in a temperature controlled area to be there, I guess, until it goes wherever else it's supposed to be leaving to.
Saving money, saving time, but also keeping people from having DOAs, which is just going to come from teaching, right, Brandon? People just need to know, listen, you don't need that heat pack. This is when you use it. You should use a bigger box on this time, whenever, but knowledge is power, right, Brandon? Like you were talking about, before shipping was even a thing in the reptile world, and you had to do it like on the low, like you were just doing it you thought fit best. Like, who was teaching you then? A lot
forums.
Of people, forums, right? But now those days are over. Like, you have everything like this MorphMarket show on Fridays and other people like yourself. I feel like the biggest thing that we have on our side are these social media platforms to teach people what to do and what not to do when it comes to shipping. And I think that's going to change everything. For anyone out there who is in a tough spot, deciding who they should ship with because they don't want to make people upset, mind you, some people, that really matters to them.
That emotional currency.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, man. I mean, it really comes down to what people want to do. And I'm not necessarily trying to like change people's minds on what they want to do with their situation.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, it just makes more sense because of the fact that all that cash just adds up. And especially like doing my like real job of doing ultrasound like part-time and doing the snakes like with more of that time, if you're able to save a good amount like over the course of the year, I don't see how that's a bad choice. Like at the end of the day, it's about you and your situation.
Yes.
And what you're able to do. And I don't think that you need to have or should have other people that, one, make you feel bad about trying to do things that are right for you and like your family. Like, who knows, man? I mean, you ship a bunch of animals and you save like $1,000 or $2,000 over the course of the year. You know, it's the same thing with like the breeding rodents, right? It's like it's cheaper to breed the rodents and produce them yourself than it is to buy them from another party. That additional savings, don't get me wrong, you lose it in time because you're spending more time with the rodents, but it's not the same thing with the shipping thing, right? You're saving that money. You could use it to go spend more time with your family, go to a trip somewhere, or whatever else. I mean, get another animal that can help out your projects. I mean, there's infinite things that can be done that, you know, make a good use of that money versus just spending it because you were, I don't know, guilted into using some other place.
Yeah.
And I mean, that goes for everything else. Like, you know, people price shop every single thing. You go onto Amazon, you try and find the best deal for certain things. You're like, all right, well, you know, this thing is, you know, whatever. I don't know. It's just crazy to me that in every other situation, it makes sense. Like, I'm going to source the price where I can get the best price of cocoa, the best price of cypress, and whatever, all to, you know, to save like an extra $1 per bag or $2 per bag. And you don't want to do the same thing to save $20, $30 for every box that you ship out. Like, it's just crazy to me. I don't understand why it is such a hard concept to understand why people would want to do that.
Customers are starting to pick up on why certain people are charging $50 shipping versus $90 shipping. And if it's worth you losing a sell over, God bless. I don't know what to tell you.
First off, if you're selling an animal that's of any value of, I mean, I just include shipping and everything except for auction, so it doesn't really matter.
Right.
But like, bless your heart if you're selling a $500,000 animal and you're trying to charge $100 shipping or even $50 shipping. That should just be included. It just should. Like, that's just my opinion. But when you're talking about some of these lower priced animals, like some of these like little starter animals, like some of these little like king snakes or milk snakes or corn snakes or like any of these, for someone that comes onto MorphMarket that's a new keeper or say a parent that is looking for a snake for their kid, maybe they want to find a corn snake. Maybe they see that cute little pretty beautiful colored corn snake or milk snake or whatever that's like $75, but then they have to pay $100 to ship that $75 animal. That's insanity versus like when they're used to going on to Amazon and free shipping and next day and all that stuff. Now these sellers that have these lower priced animals, one, they can put like a $30 to $50, you know, range for shipping, or they can just include it in their price. And now that $75 animal or whatever turns into like $110 animal, but it's free shipping. So now the buyer is like, oh, okay, like I can get that for my kid. It'll be a great little starter animal. You know, they love the Animal Planet, whatever. I think that just has like a huge effect in, or a huge effect in the barrier to entry for a lot of these new keepers and new people that are potentially getting into the hobby, which is vastly important for everybody. You know, every keeper or every type of animal and everything else, having new keepers get into the hobby is beneficial.
Right. But these new keepers are the most vulnerable by being misled, I feel like. And I think for any new keeper listening right now, I feel like, Brandon, would you agree that you should vet the people you're listening to? Somebody has a podcast out there, and if somebody is speaking strongly on something, how important do you feel like you should look into the person speaking, actually seeing what their credentials are in the hobby? What have they done? What are they currently doing? Do they have any projects? Are they even breeding right now?
Well, I mean, I think it's going to sound bad, but new people are gullible.
Yeah, I mean,
I think
on purpose. They're just excited, Brandon. Like they're happy.
No, exactly. They're excited. They're filled with enthusiasm.
Yes.
And if they are in that situation, that, I mean, they're like a sponge. And I mean, don't get me wrong, it's the same thing. Like, you know, and it's funny because, you know, on light of the whole leopard gecko thing, you know, I found a couple different like leopard gecko podcasts, and some of them are really good. And then I, you know, found a bunch of videos pop up about that dude that you talked about a while back, and you know who I'm talking about, so I'm not going to go any further. But it's like a bunch of videos are popped up there, and then I hear all these other podcasts, and they're basically talking about how that guy's doing it all wrong, but because he has a large platform, because he does his things a certain way, you have new keepers that are coming in and be like, oh, that's the way to do that. Yeah. And I think sometimes a lot of newer keepers or just people in general, I think they get blinded by the appearance of certain things, where it's like, oh, this is like super this way or super like it's just that whole like, I don't know, I don't want to say like faking it till you make it kind of thing, but if you come off like you know exactly what you're talking about and you put that information out there, there are people that are going to hear that and be like, oh, this person's like the god of this information, and then they're going to try and soak that in. They're going to think that that's the right way. And there's so many different ways to do things, and there's so many different sources. I feel like you just need to listen to certain things and take in information from different sources, and then you can build what is, you know, your own opinion or your own ideals without being like misled or have, you know, kind of the wool over the sheep or whatever that whole saying is.
Yeah, and like I said, for any new keeper out there, it's definitely not your fault with the 100+ reptile podcasts that are out there floating around. I get it, but just please vet your people and get like a panel of advice. I feel like, but like at the end of the day, you as a person needs to figure out what feels right and what feels wrong. And nobody should force you to do what you feel like you shouldn't do. Do what you feel is right. Once this becomes a business side of things, okay, a lot of things don't get brushed under the rug, especially savings. Okay. Savings is everything. I don't care what you say. I don't care how many Ferraris you have in your driveway. You still think about how you could save some scudos. You know what I mean? So thank you so much, guys. If you enjoyed this episode, please get the likes up, hit that like button, drop a comment in the comment section what you like best. If you are using MorphMarket shipping right now, I want to know what you like best out of using MorphMarket shipping. Is it the savings? Is it the savings of time? Is it the simplicity? I don't know. Give me some feedback. Drop it in the comments. From me and from MorphMarket out there, we wish all you guys a successful 2025. I want you guys to go into next year with a positive mindset. Keep your chin up, okay? Because it's all about having fun in the reptile game, and that's what we want to bring you. Fun times in the reptile world. If you're enjoying these Friday shows, hit that subscribe button and help us get the likes up. Thank you so much, guys. I really hope you enjoyed your holiday. Again, Happy New Year to everybody out there. I'll catch you here next Friday for the MorphMarket show. It's a wrap. Have a good day, and I'm out.